This was the damage left by an Iranian attack just before the ceasefire brokered by President Trump was meant to take effect. Rescue teams are at the site in Beersheba in southern Israel, where officials say 4 people were killed. There were sirens, Victoria says, so we headed to the shelter. Everything was shaking. We were scared. Overnight in Tehran, again before the ceasefire was to take effect, more Israeli attacks. I'm in shock, this man shouts. Responding to President Trump's ceasefire, Iranian state TV reported the country's foreign minister said if Israel stopped, so would Iran. But just 2 hours after the ceasefire came into effect, Israel said it had intercepted Iranian missiles. The country's defense minister, Israel Katz, posting that the IDF would respond forcefully to the violation through intense strikes. President Trump's anger at the apparent breakdown of the ceasefire he brokered was clear and included unusually strong criticism of Israel.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either.
His fury exploding with language rarely heard from a US president.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
In the last hour, President Trump, heading for the NATO summit, posted that Israel is not going to attack Iran and that all planes will turn around and head home. The ceasefire, he said, is in effect. Neil Connery, ITV News.
Let's take you live to the Middle East now and join Emma Murphy, who is on the border of Iran in Iraq. Emma, what an incredible set of twists and turns. Can we now hope for peace despite the obvious fragility of this situation?
Well, I think we can hope for it, and at the moment it is holding, but it is incredibly tense, it is incredibly fragile, as so often these things are. And you heard there in Neil's report President Trump's frustration at what has gone on over the hours since he announced that ceasefire. And I think the reality is that when you have a gap of time between the ceasefire being announced and the ceasefire coming into place, obviously both sides are going to go hell for leather to try and achieve what they set out to achieve in the first place. In terms of who's won, who's achieved what, well, it is particularly murky. I think that, you know, to the very end, Iran were firing their missiles. It is questionable how much their nuclear program has been damaged. However, without question, Israel has dealt some very severe blows to the nuclear program and also to the internal makeup and regime of Iran. I think all sides will try to claim victory in this. Later today, we have a victory parade in Iran that is likely to cause very great frustration, I think, in Washington and also in Tel Aviv. And just in terms of the wider picture of the region, obviously, this was a 12-day war. We were looking at a 20-month war in Gaza. It will be interesting to see whether now President Trump starts to put pressure on Netanyahu to really bring Gaza to an end. It's something that Trump's regional neighbours have been encouraging him to do, and this might be the moment of payback for President Trump from Prime Minister Netanyahu for getting involved in this war.
Emma Murphy, thank you very much for that analysis. Well, just before the US president said the Iran-Israel ceasefire deal was back on, Sir Keir Starmer said the 2 countries must get back to a ceasefire. The Prime Minister is in the Netherlands en route to that NATO meeting we heard earlier about in The Hague. Our Europe editor, James Mates, is travelling with him. He will, of course, be discussing the ceasefire. Is it on? Is it off with other NATO leaders?
Yes, of course, that's going to dominate, particularly today. Keir Starmer, as you say, is on his way to the summit. We're actually at a Dutch marine base near Rotterdam, where British Royal Marines are training some of their young Dutch counterparts, and Keir Starmer's been visiting that facility this morning on his way there. But obviously, there's going to be great concern right across all the NATO leadership, and much conversation at dinner tonight when President Trump gets here about that ceasefire and the situation there. Keir Starmer saying on his way over here today that he's been pushing for this for a very long time now, and obviously will be very keen to make that point to the President and to everybody else this evening.
And with so much global uncertainty, the Prime Minister is going to announce that the UK will increase its defence spending again. Is that right?
Yes, well, that's going to be right across NATO, that the commitment now is going to be 5% of GDP on defence and security within 10 years, 3.5% on what we would traditionally call defence spending, and another 1.5% on other security-related spending, to get to a figure that actually came from President Trump even before he was elected, saying he wanted NATO to commit to 5% if America was going to continue its full involvement in NATO. Now, the NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has been putting that deal together. Everyone, apparently, apart from the Spanish, have signed up to it. They will be hoping that that will satisfy President Trump when he gets here and keep this whole summit on the rails.